guys, so we're going to talk a little bit about the details of this work weekend and what we're going to cover and how it's all going to go down. And the main thing we need to get out of the, clear the smoke a little bit is we are not expecting you guys to pay to come work. We're naming it work weekend because we do one every year, just as a marketing deal. It'll be, we make t-shirts for work weekend every year. We want you guys to pay to come learn how to kill more ducks and be more efficient and be more successful when you're in the field, and to eat good food and hang out. It's a great way to develop relationships and network and such. So that's what we're going to do. Some of our sponsors are going to be involved. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be laid back. And the main thing we want to get out there is we expect you guys to show up with a list of questions. Ask questions like, hey, this is how our stuff's set up. It might be a time to grab me or Brandon or AJ or whoever and say, man, this is kind of what we got going, and just ask. And we want you to go back home with more knowledge to kill more ducks. And not every duck hole's the same. So maybe you can just take something that I'm doing and implementing into what you're doing, and maybe cross the two together and come out with an awesome plan. So the main thing is to try to use your time efficiently and go home knowing more than you knew when you came here. A lot of you know that we have a pretty big farm. It's 2,500 acres, give or take, and 3,000 if you count ag, or a little more. So just on the duck hunting side. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take unit 6, blind 6, which is probably our best spot, and I'm going to micromanage that 60 acres, meaning I'm gonna treat it as if you guys would treat your 40, 60, 80 acre duck holes, meaning you've got one spot in there, and I usually wouldn't do this, but I'm going to micromanage it, mow and disc and do certain things that are just clearly are impossible on a 3,000 acre farm. But I'm gonna take that 60 acres and we're gonna work at it, and we're gonna spend a lot of time in that, hopefully, showing what we do where the water's deep, what we do where it's shallow, and just trying to give you an idea of what we do with the water, how we like to show water, and etc. And so I think that's a big deal for a lot of people coming, because not everybody's got a 3,000 acre farm. I realize that. So I don't want anybody to think that this is just fitting one specific person, a guy that takes care of this or a guy that takes care of that. This is going to go to help everybody. And I think that's going to be a big deal for a lot of people, just because they've got small tracts, and how to manage those small tracts, it really helps. So everything that we're talking about during this work weekend is going to be beneficial for those guys that do have the small farms, because we're going to eliminate just our efficiency, like eliminate mistakes, and that's a big deal. So when you got a small farm, you really don't have room for error. So that's what we're going to try to help you with there. We're going to cover our blinds, mostly camo, how we have little stations around them, little calling towers, how we set everything up for the entire season. If you start clean, you stay clean, and just how we set up each blind, where we put our DPs, where we keep our decoys, how we set our decoys for each blind. We're also going to talk about moist soil. So we're going to take you from drawdown to to growing season, back to full flood, and back to when we draw down. So we're going to talk about when we disc, if we need to, when we work ground if we need to, when we make a roundup application, terminate everything when we need to, when we just make a 2,4-D application, or when we have to make an application of just blazer for Suspania. So we're going to cover all those weeds: smartweed, barnyard grass, ankle top, sedges. We're going to talk about what areas we try to keep the ducks in early, and then try to shift them into the refuge, try to keep the water off the refuges kind of as long as we possibly can. We're going to talk about refuges and pressure, and where to put them, and all that good stuff, and the success we've had by putting a considerable amount of acres in a refuge. We're going to show you how beneficial moist soil is after the season, and how beneficial leaving your water on after the season can be. Brad's, we're going to put some videos of ducks in this, and just when they use what, and it'll be really surprising if you go through with this and take care of it. You'll just notice the ducks getting into certain things different times of the year. So I want the ducks to stay here on our farm until they fly back to Canada or the Dakotas to lay eggs. So Another thing we're going to talk about is what crops we plant for ducks, meaning ag crops, corn, rice, milo, millet, and what we think of each one of them and what their actual purpose is for us, because it serves us a different purpose than it does other people. So we're also going to talk about how to plant them the correct way, and we're going to try to blend in duck farming with agriculture, because you can't, there's some things when it comes to planting corn, duck corn, that you got to do a little bit different. And when it comes to planting duck rice, there's a thing, you're wide open. You can do a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to cover how we plant some of that, and from water seeding rice to planting it in the dry, etc. So hopefully, if it's dry, and we can spend a couple hours running some equipment, and if there's any questions on that, how to set a planter for corn, we'll have plenty of corn left. We'll just hook a planter up and let you guys how we set it and the correct way to plant corn, because really there's only one way to do it. And what else we're going to do, we're going to send you home with a sheet of paper that says, all right, Eric planted his corn here, he did this, this, and this, and this. It'll be a good baseline to start you off, so you don't have to ask them questions. You can have that go-to. Another thing we're going to cover is how to work with your neighbors, meaning your farmers that are your neighbors, because if you have a good relationship with them and you can time your drawdown to maybe when they're going to be in the area planting, maybe you can just get them to swing in there and plant it, and you can pay them a little money and save you a lot of time. Or spraying it is a huge deal. Spraying your corn or your rice or whatever it may be, if you can try to get a relationship with a neighboring farmer and maybe take him hunting, or just how to establish those relationships. And most people are just scared to ask. We're going to go over how to camo your blinds and pits, and I'm not saying that any of you don't know how. That's not what I'm insinuating, but how to do it legally is a totally different conversation. So we're going to cover how to do it the correct way, how to do it legally, how we do it for mass amount of blinds, and how maybe you can team up with your neighbors and you guys can gather all this camo together. And we're going to show you how we do that, because there is a whole lot of people that are baiting when they camo their blinds, especially with corn. Okay guys, so we are putting in one new blind this summer. We're kind of caught up on that, but we're going to build one new blind and put it in, and we're going to have that thing set up, ready to go, bare blind, and we're going to camo it while you're here. So we're also going to have Dudley Phelps here for that weekend. He's become a great friend of mine and just a great wealth of knowledge for me to reach out to, especially when it comes to trees. I am not a tree guy. I just know that water kills them. I'm not a tree expert by any means, but he's going to be here. We have WRP that's been in since 93, 94, 95, right in that area. Some that's been in there 15 years, and some that just went in last year. So we're going to cover how you can take care of your trees if you want to plant some. Oaks, willows, cypress, we're going to cover all that on a day too. So one other management practice we're going to cover is, I almost forgot about it, almost slipped out of my head, but is semi-permanent. We call it semi-perm or semi-permanent flood, where we leave something flooded for, you either pump it up in midsummer or leave it flooded from the previous year. So what that does is just let the aquatic vegetation go crazy, and it's a great source for these ducks early season, and they tend to get in it late. So, but they really like it in October, and it just helps get you started, get the ducks started. And it's pretty cheap. It's really reasonable, so as long as you do it correct. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come in Friday morning, hopefully 7:30, 7:45, everybody starts rolling in. 8 o'clock, we're gonna get going. We're gonna cover everything we need to cover that morning. Trees, etc., something right around here close to lodge. We're gonna eat lunch, head back out. It'll probably be a late dinner, 8, 9 o'clock, because it's probably gonna take us that much time to get through. And then eat dinner, wake up the next morning, 8 o'clock, do it again. Shut her down noon, 1 o'clock, somewhere in there. Some of our sponsors are gonna be around blowing duck calls, hanging out, tuning calls, maybe selling a few waders. So if you guys wanna stick around for that, we'll shut it down. Everybody's gone, hopefully Saturday afternoon, head home and all that good stuff. So can't wait to see you August 23rd, 24th. Come hang out.